Yo, what's up, people? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to the Powercast episode 10. And we will be discussing the finale of Power that just aired on TV. And it was very, very crazy. So crazy, I had to be on camera today. And here with me is Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. What's up, Rich?
Yeah, what's up, listeners and viewers? How's it going, Gary?
It's going good, man. I can't stop thinking about that episode. It was crazy, man. Like I'm actually upset that we got to wait a year to find out what happens next.
Yeah, I don't like that either. That's unfortunate, but yeah, excellent episode.
Yeah, definitely. That the episode was called "In My Best Interest," and yeah, there's lots to talk about. So I'm just gonna get into a recap real quick, and I'm gonna try and get through it as quick as possible, just focusing on the most important points of the episode. I got my notes here, as you can see. You know what I mean? I always come prepared with my notes. So let's get to it. So Greg learns about Ruiz's death, and he actually goes to the crime scene to retrieve the recording device. And while he does this, Jamie is watching from his car. And then after seeing Jamie speak with Karen about the upcoming party at the club, Milan tells Tommy that Jamie cannot be killed until Jamie signs the papers so that the deal goes through. Um, and then we see Greg later on listening to the recording, and he hears Tommy's conversation with Ruiz. And Tommy makes mention to him and Ghost killing Lobos on the tape on the recording. And then Greg actually intercepts Jamie. He pulls him over, and he tries to make him talk. He wants him to admit that it was Angela that was the leak and gave up Lobos' location and helped to them murder Lobos. But Jamie says that Angela would never set someone up to be killed. And while hanging out with Kanan, Tariq is asked to deliver a package. And when he does so, the guy that he delivers the package to slaps the cuffs on him, takes him to a police car, puts him in the back. And then we see that it's actually Jukebox's police car. She's back. She's in New York now. And they grill him, and they try to get him to snitch on, who gave him the package and yada, yada, yada. And then, Kanan comes and they all start laughing. So basically, they were just testing him to see if he would snitch. But Tariq actually stays silent. He doesn't give up Kanan. Um, and we see Tommy goes back to. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was last week's notes. My bad. Bloopers. This is a live episode. Anything can happen. Right. So yeah, Jamie breaks into Greg's apartment to retrieve the recording, and Angela actually comes into the apartment while he's there, but he manages to hide so she doesn't see him. And then when she leaves, he escapes through the window, and he tries to scrape off his prints, but he drops the tool that he's using and stuff, and he just says "fuck it" and leaves basically. Um, and Tommy approaches Milan's lieutenant and basically tries to get him to join forces with him because Milan has been kind of shunning that guy recently and in favor of Tommy. So Tommy is basically trying to play Milan's lieutenant against him. And then sure that Angela is the leak, Greg invites Sandoval to his home, and he tells Sandoval that he has evidence that can prove that Angela was indeed the leak. He then gets a follow-up phone call from a call that he made earlier to check the details on, because last season there was a scene where Mike Sandoval had information where they could bust Lobos, which was dummy information basically to use as a decoy. And so this phone call that Greg gets basically confirms that that tip never actually happened. So this reveals that Sandoval actually made that up as a decoy. And, once Greg hears that information, he finally realizes that, it was Sandoval who is the leak. And then, um, he basically approaches Sandoval and gets him to admit it. And, Sandoval admits to being the leak. And, but Sandoval pleads that they should basically frame Angela because it would be easy to, resolve the case smoothly and everything. But Greg refuses and he tries to take Sandoval in, but Sandoval pulls out his gun and, Greg kind of backs up at first, but then he steps forward to try get the gun off of Sandoval, and this leads to Sandoval shooting and killing Greg. And the day after the shooting, Greg's killing, the investigation addresses the task force, and they basically say that they found the burner phone that belonged to Hugo in Greg's apartment. So they think Greg was actually the leak. And basically now the case is closed and everyone thinks Greg is the leak and now he's dead. So everything is over. But Angela, she's obviously anxious about the whole thing. And she goes to see Jamie to get his alibi of where he was the night before. Jamie obviously doesn't tell her that he was at Greg's apartment when he tried to get the recording back and stuff. But he does tell her that, Greg pulled him over. And at this point, Jamie doesn't even know that Greg is dead. So, it's very interesting. But then Angela basically says the investigation is over and we're over. And, she leaves and storms out. Jamie kind of runs after her a little bit. And he obviously still loves her. And he thinks that she still loves him. And at the party, we see Dre bring his goons in through the back and everything. So it looks like, something shady's about to go down at the party. And then, Jamie's with Karen and Jamie signs the papers. So the deal is officially made and, Club Truth is about to expand. After the signing, Milan intercepts Jamie and he tells him that tonight is his last night alive. But then Jamie tells Milan that, to look around, basically look around and see that I've played you. And, all Milan's people in the club are surrounded by Dre's goons. And, there's even a scene where Tatiana is eyeballing what's happening. And then Tasha pulls up with a gun. And, that at that moment, Milan realizes he's lost. And Jamie kind of escorts him out the building. Tommy's waiting outside with a vehicle. They drive him to the warehouse and then they kill Milan. It's over, or so we think. And then while in the company of Kanan, Kanan Jukebox and, the other guy, Tariq is sipping lean when his mother calls him, but he cancels the call and then he falls asleep because the lean is so strong. And while he's asleep, Kanan takes a picture with him. They take a picture using Tariq's phone and they send it to Tasha and they basically use it as a ransom photo. Kanan's whole body isn't in the picture, but his arms are in there. And Tasha basically puts two and two together because, the daughter, I forget her name, she actually told Tasha that Tariq was out with Slim, who's one of their old friends, and yada, yada, yada. So she puts two and two together, realizes Kanan, and she's obviously very concerned at this point. And then, when we go back to the club, we see Jamie's talking to Karen, and he sees Angela walk in, and he goes down to greet her, kisses her, but, Angela's looking very serious, and then she slaps the cuffs on him, and Jamie is officially arrested for the murder of Greg Knox. And, the evidence they have is his fingerprints because, Angela actually went to the apartment herself and pulled the prints from the window and they led back to Jamie. So she thinks Jamie killed Greg Knox. And that's how the show ends. Very impactful right there. So, Rich, that was a very eventful episode. What are your thoughts after seeing that? There's plenty to talk about.
All right. So first and foremost, rest in peace to Greg. you mentioned on last week's show that he was a little bit too inquisitive, so he got what he deserved, I guess. I mean, it's an unfortunate fate that he had Cinder Sandoval in his apartment when he found out the information. And, if he was a little bit more calm, maybe he would have been able to get out of that situation and then been able to take him in. There's no way he was going to just take this guy in because this guy had a lot to lose. He didn't want to lose his family. He didn't want to lose his current situation. So he took Greg out. So unfortunate. But yeah, he knew a lot of information. He knew that Tommy killed Ruiz because he heard that on the recording. I do think that the character turned a corner because for the longest time he was adamant about Angela and Ghost and trying to destroy what they had. But once he knew that Sandoval was involved, he said, "Oh no, she did everything right. This is all you." And that was admirable, but unfortunately too late because the guy just panicked and just say, "No, I have to take you out." So unfortunate passing of Greg, but it is what it is.
To be real, it was his stupidity that killed him because like last episode we see him, he clearly sees Sandoval leave Hugo's apartment. So that should tell you something fishy is going on because if Sandoval was investigating officially, surely he would have mentioned it at the office or something like that, but he didn't. Obviously, he didn't mention anything at the office. So why would you call Sandoval to try and help you get Angela? Why wouldn't you call the other dude?
That's a very good point.
Forget his name. There's that other dude in the office. Why didn't you call him? Why did
Saxton?
you call? Yeah, Sax. Yeah, why didn't you call Sax? Why was Sandoval your first point of call when you just saw him leave Hugo's apartment last week?
Well, Sandoval's the boss, right? He figured, well, yeah, I got to tell my boss. Surely I could trust my boss, or so he thought.
Yeah, I guess, but
yeah, it wasn't wise. But the thing is this, though. For most of the episode, he was still trying to figure out what's going on with Angela, what's going on with Ghost. Still trying to go after Ghost and Tommy. The whole episode, well, not so much Tommy, but Ghost. Because he just couldn't get over the fact that, this guy obviously has something to do with this. But I just think, yeah, he definitely, like I said, he turned the corner when he decided to focus on Sandoval, but he did not handle the situation correctly. Because, you could have just been calm about it. Not try to take the guy in, perhaps. And here's the other thing. If he would have went to the actual office in broad daylight, with all these other police officers and then said, "This is the evidence. This is the guy. I know he did it." That would have been the way to take care of that situation. But no,
he could have spoke to Sandoval at the office. It would have been a much safer setting. He wouldn't have died there. So,
but that was done specifically to go back to the fact that Jamie, if it appears that he had to get screwed over one way or another. This guy has, for the most part, all season, he's been very sloppy in some of the things that he's done. So sooner or later, this stuff catches up with you. So I guess that was the point they wanted to make, why all of that happened, just so he can come to where he is at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, everything had to happen, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy how it went down.
Yeah, it's real crazy.
So, go ahead.
Oh, no. So let's go ahead and let's talk about Ghost. I'll just go ahead and say this. They pulled off an excellent plan to get Milan, to get out from under Milan. That was excellent. You could not have done it any better. And it's funny because, we said on a couple episodes that the guys that Dre's friends, they introduced that element in there for a reason, where they talk about where they can come to the club and rob people. But they used it in the smart way to go in there and take out Milan's henchmen. So that was very well done. You had a sense of a feeling that, of course, the best dynamic about the show is that Tommy and Ghost, their friendship, and the fact that when they need to take care of a threat, they take care of it together. So you got a good feeling of that strong brotherhood between the both of them, the bond, and I know we got thrown off last week when we saw Tommy said, we need to kill Ghost. But yeah, the whole time he was intent on getting rid of Milan. And also, of course, he still does have intentions to handle Ghost as well. Not kill him, but, as far as be
Put
in
him in
control.
line.
Yeah, because now he is running the drug game. And, they said he still intends to sell drugs in the clubs, in Ghost's clubs. And he says, yeah, well, if that, he has no problem. He has no choice but to let them continue doing that. So I'll be very interested to see how that goes down if Ghost still has a club when we return next season.
Yeah.
So, but what I was going to say about Ghost is that, I know it's unfortunate for that to go down at the end, because so many. I mean, this guy still doesn't know what's going on with his son. Still doesn't know, and that's another thing we'll discuss. But he doesn't know anything about that. And then with Angela, yeah, that's unfortunate, because I feel like now there's a lot that's going to come out now, But she also knowingly is going into this situation knowing that he can possibly throw her under the bus as well now, because they're going to ask him for evidence. They're going to really, grill him and all this other stuff. They got his fingerprints, so they decided to throw all that on him and say, yeah, he was involved. But my thing is that, I mean, did they not really do any forensics? Check the bullets, check the murder weapon? I mean, I didn't. You didn't. They just said no, he's involved. So they need to do all of that investigation work. I don't think. I think it's kind of ridiculous how you could just take someone into custody when you don't have all of the information. You just know he was in there at some point, but there is no murder weapon. I didn't see a weapon unless they did show a point in which there was a weapon that was collected. But I just think that was obviously that's not done and over with. But if he is asked to testify, if he does have to say some stuff, I mean, he's going to acknowledge that he had a relationship with Angela. That's still going to make her look bad too. That's still going to put her some stuff on her as well. So I'll be interested to see how that's handled. But she knows that because she arrested him, so she don't care about it then, obviously.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. I do think Jamie will pull some strings and, about basically get his way out of prison.
Yeah.
Eventually, because there are various ways. Like, I think Sandoval was definitely the weak link, so he can pull some strings, like, because he'll be in jail, like he'll be in prison or whatever throughout the next season, I assume. But like he'll still get visits from Tommy or whoever, and he'll be able to pull some strings to where maybe they can frame Sandoval, or like they can bring to light that he was involved somehow. But the thing is, I don't think he knows Sandoval was the leak at this moment, but I think he'll find out eventually.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Sandoval gonna get sloppy. He'll find out.
Yeah.
But
but there's also the recording that Greg had, because Greg had that recording on his laptop, and that incriminates Tommy and, well, Ghost. They say Ghost on the audio. They don't say James St. Patrick. So he can deny being Ghost, of course, but Tommy does say that he killed Lobos on that tape. So that's going to be some extra evidence if they manage to find that recording.
Oh yeah, I think they are going to find that at some point. I mean, he said, one thing I do know is that Sandoval definitely is probably he's going to be very eager to find that, because even when after Greg told him, this guy was like, "Oh, so you do have some evidence. What do you have?" And he doesn't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure though he may try to find that evidence just to make sure that it's done and over with. But I mean, we'll have to see how that situation is handled. I have to make this comment, and I know you probably will laugh, as well as other people who are watching or listening to this. I understand the how dramatic it was at the end for Jamie to get arrested, but the song that they chose to play at the end, I couldn't help but laugh at that song. Yeah, somebody begging in the song, not like a Keith Sweat begging, just like begging. Tell me that you want me. All this other stuff. Like, come on now, man, this is a little ridiculous. I mean, it's funny, but it's also messed up that's what happened with Ghost at the end. But it's like I said before, And you kind of knew it in this episode when you saw him go to the apartment and then, oh, he dropped the key. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. You kind of knew, okay, that's probably not good. That's going to come back. Because we don't really ain't supposed to be slipping up like that. But again, I think it's a little ridiculous to just assume this guy killed them. You know, where's the murder weapon at? And I didn't see a weapon at any point and maybe I need to watch it again, but I didn't see a weapon collected at any point throughout any of this stuff. So obviously, if he's the killer, you're going to ask him, where's the murder weapon? Yeah. I don't have the murder weapon. So how can
Sandoval took it with him, I think, so.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how they could just automatically assume, he's the killer when they have no proof of any weapons being used to kill Greg. It just doesn't make any kind of sense. But
I think they'll find it hard to make that murder stick on Jamie because they've got his prints, but that's all they have, you know.
That's true, but I will say this though, that you're right. They are going to. It is going to be hard, but his reputation as the club owner that is completely damaged now, all because of that.
Yeah.
So that would be even more of a reason for him not to really like Angela next season either, because all this happened in public, right in front of the people who you just signed the contract with. So that's not good.
Yeah, like I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with the club now. Like, is Tommy going to step up and take it over, or is the club gone now? Or Dre? You think Dre's going to take over?
Well, hey,
that could happen.
He's on very good terms with Miss Bassett. Maybe he probably smashing. So I'm pretty sure he can convince him. Yeah, I'll take over the operation, the day-to-day.
But is the deal with Karen still gonna go through? I mean, maybe Dre can smooth things over because, like you said, they did have chemistry. So maybe he can smooth it over and say, "Look, I'll run the club instead of Jamie." So maybe
yeah. I mean, he could maybe tell him, maybe give me like a little period of time. Because I mean, but the thing is this, I know that they will say it's not good that that this guy, that he got arrested, but they don't. I mean, they don't even know what. I mean, they don't even know why he got arrested. I could see her shutting down the other deal because these guys, it was very clear the drugs were being sold in the club. But they don't know why he got arrested. So I don't see why they would be like, okay, we're not going to do business with him at all. They need to know more information before they make a decision to say, okay. But because it could have been a mistake. They don't know that. But obviously, no matter what, it's definitely going, it diminishes all of what he did this season to build that relationship. And now that's all diminished because of this, because of Greg, ironically. So it's ridiculous, and you said on previous episodes, you can't wait for there to be a confrontation between Greg and Ghost. You said you wanted to see a fight. Well, it's ironic that it would end this way, whereas Jamie didn't do nothing to this guy, but yet they think he did do something to him. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, the closest we got was, Greg pulling over Jamie and they had that conversation, but no hands were thrown, nothing. Mm-hmm. I didn't get my wish, unfortunately, but, Greg is dead now. I know a lot of people, because I check the Twitter like every week to see what people are saying, and a lot of people wanted Greg to go. So people might be happy now, who knows? But it's at the expense of Jamie being in jail now, so...
Well, they have to have, it can't be a happy ending because you still have, 2 other seasons that have been approved now. So you really need to stretch out the storyline. So.
And speaking of stretching, I'm definitely interested to see how they're going to stretch out the whole Kanan story now. Because.
Well, I do have a theory on that. Now, one thing I did notice about this particular episode, once he was back with Jukebox, it's like you could see that Kanan actually started to like the kid and then did not want to really consider killing him. But now he's taking orders from her saying, yeah, you need to kill him and take the money. And the thing about it is that, you got to understand, Kanan already made it clear. He only is in this because he wants to get back in the drug game. So now that Milan is out the picture, it's going to be very interesting to see if he would just delineate from this original plan of this kidnapping and just straight up go after trying to get the money back from trying to take over what Tommy has. Because again, these characters have not, for some reason, Tommy and Ghost, they do not know where Kanan is at. They figure that this guy is dead, but Dre knows. So, and Dre has already got himself building up a relationship with Tommy and all these other people. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens now next season, because I just feels like Dre may become expendable once again, because it's not going to end well as you would think, because somebody is going to find out, oh, so you was affiliated with this guy, you're working with this guy. It's not going to end well. But going back to what you said about the kidnapping, that's going to be very interesting, because now you have a situation where, well, Ghost will probably, I don't know if he will be allowed to get bail, but that's going to cost money. But now you also have to give money to get Tyreek back. So that's a bit of a conflict.
I don't think Jamie will get bail because he killed, an agent. So I don't think they'll issue bail for him. I think probably the entirety of season 4 will be Jamie in jail trying to get out. Like he might be in for that whole thing, and then it will be Kanan against Tommy and Dre and Tasha. Like it might just be that Kanan building up his power and trying to take over what the drug trade from Tommy. Mm-hmm. And then maybe we'll even see him take over at the end of season 4. But then at the end of season 4, maybe Jamie gets out, and then going into season 5 is when we finally get So it could be a scenario like that.
That could definitely happen. That'll be. I mean, that'll be unfortunate, though. I mean, I will tell you right now. See Ghost in jail the whole season. I don't know if I would like to see that. You're gonna see people trying to get close to Ghost, and he's gonna have to beat up some people, get into some fights. I don't know if I want to see all of that.
Yeah, like it does sound daunting to think that, because he's the main attraction, so like to think that he might be caged up the whole season, I don't know, but I just don't know how they're going to stretch this thing out, because there's so many different subplots there. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out over the next 2 seasons or so. Yeah,
it is. And again, the evidence that Greg had, I'll be interested to see if that comes back into the fold. I just think it's a little ridiculous. Sandoval kills him and doesn't bother to look where's the evidence at. Nope. So I think that may come back. But
I think that'll definitely come back.
Yeah.
So how soon do you think they'll get Tariq back, or do you even think they'll get Tariq back? Like maybe Tariq doesn't want to go back. Like, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, here's the thing: they paint this picture, whereas he keeps saying all this stuff about, I don't want to go back home. They're nothing but liars. I think that's a bit of a phase. I obviously think he's definitely is angry at his father, maybe his mother as well to some extent. But I really think, even that you saw it, he said, I need to call my mom. Mm-hmm. What the thing is, and then of course then he passed out. The thing is that they can play up this whole thing about wanting to kidnap him and all this other stuff, but sooner or later it's going to be some resistance to that, where he's going to be like, okay, I think I want to go home now. Yeah. I think it's just not going to be a situation where he's always going to be like, yeah, he's cool with hanging out with them and not going to school and all this other stuff and stealing and all this. I think sooner or later he is going to want to go back home. And then at that point, if they are forceful and they say, no, you're not going nowhere, then he's going to maybe feel like he's in a little bit of trouble. But the thing is that the character itself is not really too smart. You hanging around with these people you don't know since the beginning. And that's what the whole issue is. He should not have been hanging out with them in the first place, but I guess he doesn't know any better. And that's, I saw they set him up. So I guess they do like the kid to some extent, because they know that he is a loyal to a degree. He's a little street smart. He's not afraid to do stuff to prove that he can do something. But I do think at some point he is going to want to go back home, and they're going to have a bit of a hard time with that, because they pretty much want to keep him there. Now they can just have him drinking lean all day, every day, maybe that'll work. But I just think sooner or later he's going to want to get out
Yeah.
of there and not really be given opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I think with children and teens, they tend to get homesick after a while, like because being away from home might feel brand new to them for a little while, and they might enjoy being away from home. But eventually, I think they'll start to miss it. They'll start to miss that comfort of home. So yeah, I do think eventually he'll realize that he's made a mistake hanging out with them, and then that'll be the point where they refuse to let him go, and then he'll start to feel uncomfortable around them, maybe. And then
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we have to see how that pans out.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
we'll see.
I think they'll get the money though, the money they're trying to get from
Oh,
Jamie and Tasha.
they definitely gonna get that money. And the thing about it is that why it's a bad situation is because the club was made as a way for Jamie to escape having to do the drug stuff. So if Tasha decides to go to the bank, give them all the money they have in that account, and now you have a situation where the club gets shut down, now this forces Jamie once again to have to go back into the drug game once he actually gets out.
Yeah,
And then that brings into what you said last week about, well, now, Tommy calls the shots. So he would have to report to Tommy. And that's more than likely what's going to end up happening probably next season because Tommy, they have elevated this character to a new level now. He went through a transformation all season. Now he is the guy. So
yeah.
that's probably what's going to end up happening next season if I had to make a guess.
Yeah, and speaking of Tommy, obviously, the whole thing with Holly happened, and Tasha doesn't know about that yet. So we like there still needs to be that revelation where Tasha finds out what happened to Holly.
Well, you know what? I'm curious to know what would be her response if she did find out. Whether she would be shocked or because I mean, he just said they didn't talk about that for a reason, very specifically, and I don't really think that Tommy is going to really get over that either, because even though has this new role, that's still a part of him that he probably will not forget about. Um, we have to see how that's handled, but I don't know what her. Yeah, and speaking of that, we didn't even talk about this. What happened to her friend? What
Yeah,
happened to Tasha's friend? They didn't even address that yet. So that's kind of crazy if you ask me.
I think I got a theory. I think maybe Tommy didn't kill her. Maybe he sent her away with some money or something, and
Yeah,
maybe she'll come back next season.
it could be, or maybe Carmelo told his wife, "Hey, no more power. I saw you did a nude sex scene last season, so I don't want you to be on that show after this season." Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, could be. Maybe
Yeah,
that contract got torn up.
yeah, that could be.
That nudity contract.
But they need to explain that though, because you can't just you leave that out there like, oh, this character just disappeared. That's no, they got to explain that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. I've already heard of some new actors signing up for the next season of Power as well.
Who was this? Okay, I got to hear this.
Um, well, trying to remember where he's from. But yeah, there's some kind of I think he might be either Chinese or Korean. I apologize for not knowing,
Oh,
but yeah, there's some popular guy. He's in something else, but I can't quite recall it at the moment. And I think 50 Cent has also promised a role to a few other people. There was a rumor that Remy Ma was one of them, and
yeah, yeah.
there was a rumor about Chris Brown as well. But
Oh, Chris Brown.
the controversy that happened with him, I think the executives weren't happy about that. So,
Oh man. Oh, hey, he would have been perfect to play the guy in prison that beats people up and gets his ass whooped. So I guess that won't have to worry about that now.
yeah,
That's that's crazy.
yeah. But like the question I was gonna ask is like, there's already so many subplots that all tie together somehow. Like, do you think they're gonna try and expand it and introduce more new people and more subplots moving forward into season 4?
Well, that's a good question. I absolutely think that they are going to expand upon some. I think the Tariq situation that obviously is going to get a little bit deeper, a little bit more involved. But you've only saw that they really start to introduce him to Kanan earlier in this season, a couple episodes actually, and then he finally meets Jukebox at the end of the season. So I feel like that is going to develop into a much more deeper relationship and plot point for next season. Um, I think that the whole thing about the kidnapping definitely is a big deal. I think that Tommy is going to have a lot of. He's going to probably be someone that gets like a major focus next season because now he is the guy in charge. He's probably going to be doing business with a couple of people he don't like, and a few people that you mentioned, they may be stepping into the role opposing him as people he has to deal with. That he will decide whether or not he's going to take them out, that type of situation. But I think again, it always goes back to, and so because this is typically, we'll just say what it is. It is a love story, so it's always going to go back to the relationship between Ghost and Angela. And since they made such a major point to make sure that he got arrested at the end of the season, I have to think that's going to absolutely develop into something bigger next season. I mean, the thing about it is this, I don't really. It's a question of trying to figure out what exactly it is that he's going to tell him. Now he can say he's not going to say nothing to him. That's fine. But when they start to investigate him further, and the stuff that comes out about Angela, it's not like she's going to be protected by anything.
Yeah.
Because and that's the whole reason why you really question it. You really have to shake your head about why she would arrest him, because if there's dirt that comes out on him, you was with this guy. So you're gonna be in some way connected to some of this stuff. So I think it's always gonna come back to that, and I'll be very interested to see how they handle that.
Yeah, so about that, like, how do you think that's gonna play out? Do you think throughout the whole of season 4 we're gonna see Angela be bitter towards Jamie, or do you think eventually Jamie will be able to persuade her that it really wasn't him, and then she'll start helping him maybe?
I think eventually he will win her over, because again, to me, and again, I would have to rewatch the episode again, but I did not see a murder weapon. I'm not sure how you can determine that somebody committed a murder when you have no proof. You have the proof that he was in the building, yes, but you clearly see that Greg got shot twice.
Yeah.
Where's the murder weapon at? So to me, I feel like if he doesn't have a weapon, he doesn't know where it's at. You can't prove his fingerprints are on the gun. All of that other stuff, to me, it's like you really don't have a case against him until you can prove this stuff. All you can say is, yeah, he was in the apartment. That's it. So I think eventually she'll win him over. And let's go ahead. Let's keep it real. We already know that one of the main things about this show that a lot of people like, besides the storytelling, besides the characters, they like the sex scenes. So sooner or later they will find a way to make sure that you see somebody getting busy this next season. So that's why I say they are going to make up, and we'll see how that's handled in retrospect. But I think eventually she will trust him. But the thing, again, it's going to be a question of whether or not Jamie is actually going to even still want to pursue anything with her after this. Because, again, he lost the club. I mean, we don't know for sure he lost the club, but his reputation is definitely damaged for the foreseeable future. So I don't know if he would even want to associate with her after that. That's what we're going to have to wait and see, because it's no telling yet. But obviously, it's going to be some impacted stuff from this. And I'll be very curious to see how things are handled next season, because it's a very tricky situation for mostly everybody on the show right now.
Yeah, like, to keep it real, I think Angela might actually know in the back of her mind that it wasn't Jamie, because when they met in that the diner or whatever, obviously she didn't bring up the fact Greg was dead, the whole time. And if you read Jamie's body language and the way he's talking and stuff, like he's completely oblivious. He, you know, he doesn't know anything. Like, and I think she realizes that in that moment that, you know, he is being honest and, you know, sincere. And he
Wait,
obviously he lies because he was at Greg's apartment, but he doesn't tell her that. So he's lying about that, of course. But like, you know, the fact that he doesn't know that Greg is dead, and I think she kind of sees that, you know, because the way that she's talking and stuff.
yeah,
If Jamie really did kill Greg, you know, he would be trying to carry himself a certain way. He'd be more aware of his, you know, his words, his
that's true.
action, his body language. But he's just been sincere in that moment. But
Hey,
I think she just completely acted on emotion when she saw the fingerprints on the screen and saw that it was, you know, Jamie, and she probably just acted out in emotion because obviously she's very emotional that Greg died. And
but even though she loves Ghost, she's emotional that Greg got shot. So that's but you know, I just was going to add something real quick to what you just said, because you said it perfectly when you said, though he didn't tell her that he was in the apartment. And this is the reason why I say it's not good that he is arrested now, because they're going to ask him, why was you in the apartment?
yeah.
So now it's going to come out that, oh yeah, I was looking through some stuff, I saw
Oh
a
yeah,
bra.
yeah,
Oh, a
yeah.
bra from who? Angela. So see, that's why I said I think they're going to be going back and forth now, because even though he knows he didn't do it, it's like now they're going to question him to the point where they're going to get him to say, well, why did you go into the apartment in the first place? And now that puts Angela in a bit of trouble as well.
Yeah,
But
because obviously he went there looking for the recording, I think, but he can just say that, oh, I was mad because Angela's with this guy, so I was trying to catch her or something like that. Well, that could be his, you know, his lie in that situation.
that's a very good, that's a very good point. It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to see how that's handled, but I think, I mean, I just don't think in any way she's totally safe next season. I think this situation is a lot is going to come out now that you got him arrested. No, he don't normally rat on anybody, but you got him arrested. It's going to, you know, I really do think that the police, they may try to get as much evidence as possible to frame him for or will put the murder on him or whatever. I mean, we'll have to see. But Sandoval, like you said, is a weak link. I said a couple episodes ago, I want this guy to get caught. Now I absolutely want him to get clipped as soon as possible. Because I don't like seeing the bad guys get away like that, especially when clearly this guy, I just don't like that. This is a guy in power who is running that task. Job is to, you know, do what's right in the name of law and justice, and yet he out here working with the criminals. So they need to get taken down. Ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, I do think we'll see a lot of tension between Sandoval and Angela as well, because I think as the investigation of Jamie goes on and more details start to come out and it becomes a bit more clear that Jamie might not have done it, I think, you know, maybe Angela figures out it was Sandoval. Maybe she's the one that figures out. Maybe she tells Jamie, and then maybe Jamie tries to pull some strings or something. I don't know. There's so many ways it can go. So
you know, I can't wait to see the little how this relationship is going to be when she says, "Oh, I apologize." I don't think that. I think it's just going to be something where like Jamie just forgives. I really think he's going to hold a grudge because he lost his club in this whole process. He put the club at jeopardy and his reputation. So I wouldn't just be like, well, whatever. No, I'm gonna be kind of pissed about that for a while.
Yeah, he really should. He should be pissed. He's got reason to, because that was like one of the biggest nights of his life, like that deal and everything. And then getting rid of Milan, and he was finally free to be who he wants to be. So yeah. So anything else to bring up before we move on?
I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I'll throw this in there. So you said about him pulling strings. Well, there is one person that may be able to assist him, and that's his lawyer.
Oh so, yeah. Oh yeah. He's got a good lawyer.
Yeah, so we'll probably see. Yeah, because so he'll probably have him, and he'll get in there to some extent. But that's going to be very interesting to see how that's handled because Angela knows about that lawyer also. and that lawyer tries to do stuff to get a little bit of corrupt things as well. So we'll see how that's handled. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting next season. I think you covered most of all of what happened. I was trying to think if there was anything else no, there wasn't anything else that happened. Those were the main points of interest. One quick comment I'll make is, man, your boy Milan got finished.
Yeah.
The way they took this dude out, all of them shots. I mean, I'm pretty sure one shot to the head would have killed him, but they said, no, make sure he dead. Shoot him 3 times.
Yeah, right in the face too.
Yeah, that was bad. That was rough. But I guess it had to be done, and his brains splattered all over the floor. That's wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, he had to go out. But like the thing I was like a bit iffy about is like, did Jamie not get any blood on his tuxedo or his suit or whatever he was wearing? Like, because he went right back to the club after that.
Oh well, hey, we didn't see any blood. Now it'll be interesting if.
I mean, I guess they were standing kind of far. I guess maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I was, if there was blood, it would have been interesting for the season starts up. This guy is now headed to jail, and then when they take the clip, wait, hold on, blood. Where did this come from? Oh, Jamie would really be screwed over then. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of that stuff. I guess we have to wait and see how that's going to pan out. I just think, I understand they had to make this. It couldn't just be a clean ending where everything is resolved. There had to be some type of conflict that goes into the next season. So I'll be very interested to see. I mean, there's a lot of very interesting storylines, as you already said. Tommy is in power. So we're going to see how that relationship was, because we saw in the beginning of the season how he was being in control, and he was just reckless. So I will be curious to see if he'll be a little bit more cold and calculating now that he's learned some things from Milan and he feels as though he has that power. And then, of course, whenever he has his when he does finally have that face-to-face moment with Kanan, I'll be very interested to see what happens with that, because it is going to happen next season. Now that Milan is out the picture, Kanan said he didn't want to do nothing with those guys when those guys were part of the picture. So now that they're out of the picture, Kanan going to show up again. So we'll have to see how that whole situation is handled. Yeah. But great episode overall. I look forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah, so you guys in the comments, you guys watching, please leave your comments. Let us know your thoughts on, how it went down. Let us know anything we might have missed discussing, and, we'll continue to discuss it. But for now, Rich, what's your score for the finale, man?
All right. Even though I made fun of that last song that they played, I'll still give the episode a solid 5. It was very well paced from beginning to end. Thought they were going to rush through some things, but the pacing was excellent. The writing was excellent. And it's very satisfying. It got me interested in next season, even though I would have watched even if this episode was bad. But they did a really good job, so I have to give them a full 5 stars.
Yeah, I gotta agree, 5 stars, because I thought, to be honest, I thought this episode might be a bit rushed in parts, because there was so many subplots going on at the same time. I was wondering how they can all basically wrap everything up in 1 hour, but they managed to do it, and they did it well. And I never felt like it was too rushed or anything like that. And I was hooked every minute of the episode. So I have to give him a solid 5. And now that we have 3 full seasons of Power, what would you say is your standout season? Which one is your favorite?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Wow, I wasn't prepared for that one. I think I had to say that this season was pretty solid. I would probably say this is the best season. Obviously, the first season, that was the very beginning of the whole storyline, so it took a while to get into it. But by the second, third episode, I was hooked with the show. But I have to probably say this one, only because now, it pretty much, it's like the way the season was written. Now, obviously, there was at least one episode we know where it was rushed to a degree with the writing. But for the most part, the writing was solid throughout the whole season. You started the season whereas Ghost and Angela were together, everything is happy, and now it's the complete opposite by the end of the season. So I think that's pretty great. We got to see Tariq. Now he's finally getting exposed to the negative side of what these other people are doing, and I'm very curious to see how that how that is moving forward. And now, of course, we got to see the dynamic between Tommy and Ghost always working together, even though they have issues with each other. They still are still boys. They still work together. We got to finally see all of that stuff. So I think this season possibly, I would say, better than the other two seasons. But what do you think?
For me, it's definitely between season 2 and season 3. Season 1 was just 8 episodes, and whereas it kind that season established the show, and that was the point where I knew it was a good show that I was going to keep watching. But in season 2 is when I really fell in love with the show, and thought, wow, this show is really good. It's got really good writing, because that was 10 episodes, so obviously the pacing was a lot better. And you had storylines that were building up, fully coming into fruition and everything. But this season, I think this season was just a whole nother level with the writing. Like, it was, the writing was crazy. Like, it kept you on the edge of your seat. You never knew what was going to happen. We've said this multiple times throughout this whole Powercast season. Like, you could try and predict what's going to happen next week, but they always throw something in there that just sidetracks everything. Like, so it's hard to predict what's going to happen, because the writers are so good that they just keep you guessing at all times. Yeah. So I think I will have to go season 3, because the writing was just excellent in this show. And The Wire is like one of my favorite shows of all time, and the writing in this season was on par with that series, I think. So
that's a very high compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on par. I'm glad that it was 10 episodes as opposed to 8. I would have been glad if it was 12 episodes, because a lot of shows do the 12 episode season order. But maybe they can consider that in the future. But if not, and it stays at 10, that's fine, just so long as it's on point like this season was.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's it. I mean, that's Powercast episode 10. I mean, there's a chance we might do an extra episode just to talk more about, possible things that might happen in the future. And we definitely want to, invite some people on to discuss the show with us, just the whole season and what could happen next and stuff like that. So, yeah, hopefully we might actually get to do that at some point next week, maybe. But yeah, for now, you may not get another Powercast until next year. So, but it's been fun, man. It's been fun discussing these shows, and I just want to shout out Stars for giving us the opportunity to cover the show and
Absolutely.
Get early access to it and everything like that, just so we could discuss the show as it happens and everything. Rich, you got any words to say before we get out of here?
Oh yeah, well yeah, I absolutely also want to thank Stars. This actually was the first show we had some success wanting it, and we wanted to cover it in a special format. So I definitely want to thank everybody over at Stars for allowing us to do that. We'll be doing more shows in the future, not just Power, but definitely want to give a shout out to Stars, because they didn't have to give us access. So we are very appreciative of that. Looking forward to next season. This season was fantastic, and I also want to thank everybody that has commented. I know Nellie Mack has commented on pretty much almost every video. Obviously not the last one, because we had YouTube issues. So I'd like to give a shout out to YouTube as well and tell them to fix their service. But yeah, we thank everybody for their continued comments and support. And definitely let us know if you're interested in being on a future episode where we basically just talk about what we think is going to happen next season, because I know we're definitely going to do that. So Nellie Mack, you are invited, as well as all the others that have commented as well. All of you are invited. Just let us know in the comment section on this video if you're interested, what you thought about the season, and we'll get with you and schedule a time to do the show.
Yep. And just shouts to Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent, shouts to the whole Power staff, because you guys did an excellent job with this show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is Powercast episode 10. We're signing off. Thank you for listening, people. We're out. Peace.
Peace.